Hello, everyone, and welcome to Accountability Lab's quarterly impact call. Today we are discussing the topic of the impact of civic education, and we have brought on two of our accountpreneurs from Nepal and Pakistan. The first time we've had a quarterly impact call with covering a topic over two countries, so we're very excited for this. And to give you a brief background on the purpose of these impact calls, we are trying to create a platform to demonstrate our own accountability, giving the public a place to ask questions about our work and to also learn firsthand from our incredible partners on the ground about the work they're doing and the challenges and successes that they face throughout the year. So today we are hoping to hear from Scott Warren, who is the Executive Director of Generation Citizens and leads some impressive civic education work here in the United States. We have not been able to get him to connect to the call yet, so we may bring him on later in the call. But for now, we would like to hear a little bit from our accountpreneur in Nepal, Anita Thapa, who is the founder of an organization, Sambawana, doing civic education work and has been our partner for a few years in Nepal. And so I'll turn the time over to her to tell you a little bit more about what her organization is doing and why it's important to her, and about some of the impact that she's seen so far. Anita, when you're ready.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Anita. I am working as the accountpreneur of Accountability Lab, and I work with young people with my organization called Sambhavana. With Accountability Lab, I've been running a civic education program called Civic Schools, and we work with students and also schools in both private and public schools. So my basic idea is to give a new vision to the civic education, the concept of civic education that we've been practicing and being involved in different programs. So basically, Civic Schools is a vision about civic education whereby we are looking into civic skills and also understandings and trying to integrate both skills and understandings and knowledge into the school textbook curriculum, and also embraced all the aspects of school governance and built on strong connections with the community. This is a little different than the traditional approach of teaching offerings that's been happening in the schools, which we think is kind of disconnected from other academic studies and also other surrounding communities. So the program has been built based on my experience of working with young people on the issues of civic education, democracy, and governance. And what we're trying to do is keeping the idea of civic education as the aim of preparing young people as active citizens, and also trying to break the traditional way of teaching and then introducing civic education in school, whereby students can get involved as much as they want and practice their learnings from the textbook into their schools, in their homes, and also in the community. So basically, it's about working with secondary level students in schools, whereby we prepare weeks long, like 16 weeks curriculum based on their textbook subjects within civic education, and we try to design program based on their interests. So in many schools, students like to get involved in role plays activities. They want to look into different aspects of civic education by watching documentaries, movies. They also want to get direct interaction with local political and civil activists. We also take them on a tour of learning how non-profit organizations work, how some of the government organizations are working, such as election commission, such as organization that's been working for the accountability and transparency issues. So when they finish all these activities, basically they come up with their identifying issues and problems within their schools, and then they form themselves in small group and they come up with a school project whereby they want to solve these issues in their own level. We also give them small seed fund that they can use to materialize their ideas into action. So when they finish all their projects, because we work with the different schools, we invite all of the schools in one platform, and we want to celebrate their work, encouraging different schools and students to learn from each other, share their best practices, and stay connected. We think the most important thing in civic education is to learn from each other and to stay connected. The question why I introduced this program is, the first thing I would say is because I wanted to change the school life that I had a decade ago, because I went to one of the best schools in Nepal, and I never had this opportunity to be part of extracurricular activities, whereby I can play with my ideas, whereby I can be a part of community activities, community service. And I got introduced about civic education later when I finished my school and when I joined some non-profit organizations. So I thought, because by default we're already studying civic education in school, it's better that I focus on school curriculum and help our students to learn these skills and then help them practice these skills in their school life itself, because I think the best time for any young people to think about being active in community and think about taking leadership is when they're in school. And things haven't really changed. The way we teach in school and way the subject of civic education is treated is almost similar to when I was in school. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to break in the traditional approach of teaching civic education, whereby we're only preparing young people to appear in the exams and then pass the exam. I wanted young people to be prepared for their own life and exercise civic rights and exercise active citizenship right at the time when they're in school. So that's how I started the project, and it's been 3 years. This is my 3rd year running this project with the Accountability Lab. And some of the impact that I can share right now is, one is individual impact. I wanted to share individual impact of the program from one of the students who came to my program in 2013, and back then he hadn't really thought of doing anything after joining the program. But then after a year he came by and he said, because he's more interested now about the civic issues, he wanted to do something. So I invited him to join in our civic education classes in schools, and now he is one of the most active volunteers who is running civic education program in our schools. This is one of the impact, because when he joined the program years ago, he didn't know about any civic education issues, fundamental rights, no nothing, and then he wasn't really interested too. But then he was following our activities. He saw the changes in our students in other schools, and he thought he could also be a part of this program and help young adolescents learn about civic education. And now he's taking lead in schools and running program, which I think is really interesting for someone who wasn't really into anything about civic education is now running program. There are other students also who were really negative about learning hands-on skills in school, but now they've been active and they've formed civic schools alumni in their school and running different activities. On a community level impact, I think it's also important that we acknowledge civic education's impact wouldn't happen in like 6 months or a year time. It takes its own time, and because it's a process, we cannot really say when the impact will be shown. But in 2013, a group of students in one of the school came up with a school project whereby they prepared the project asking question of accountability to the local government and their own school administration about the fundraise to construct the road outside their school, but then it didn't happen for next 2 years. So the next group of students, when they had to design a project, they also followed up with the same project, asking their seniors, asking their teachers, local authorities. So it kind of became a school project for entire school community, including the school principal, and together with their school principal, they followed up with the local authority, and now half of the road outside their school has been constructed, which I think has huge benefit not just to the student of our project, but also to the entire school community and also to the locals. And this has been acknowledged by the school administration and school principals themselves, which I think is pretty interesting to share among other students, because when we started this project, it looked like just a small accountability question project, but then it turned out to be benefiting entire school community, which I think is really inspiring for us as well, and also for our volunteers and also for our partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is very inspiring to see that this work is not only impacting these youth in their communities in the future as they go on and become leaders of the country, but right now they can truly make a difference in their community. And I also find your work so impactful because of the way that it empowers youth to lead the program themselves and to kind of be led for youth by youth, and that they become so invested in the program that they want to share it with others around them. So thank you very much. And I will now pass the time over to Maywish, who is also doing incredible work in civic education in Pakistan, and invite her to tell us more about it now.
Thank you, Anne. First of all, I'm very thankful for this invitation to come and talk about the civic education projects in the countries like Pakistan, where youth is at a very risky behavior approaches. First of all, I would like to start with a bit introduction of my organization. It's called Laureate Foundation, and I started it when I was 16 years old. And the basic concept of Laureate Foundation, we are basically youth development and youth-focused organization, so all the projects and initiative are catering the youth communities in the country, despite of any sort of discrimination within the youth communities. And we also deal with the entrepreneurial skills, peace building programs, and our basic core component is to promote and engage and enhance youth in volunteering trends, because we have been observing that for the past 15 years in Pakistan, the volunteering has been at its decline. So we just need to bring back the volunteering spirit back to the youth. This is what Laureate Foundation does now. The project with the lab, which I'm doing and which the lab is supporting at the moment, is called Voices of Civic Champions. The project is basically an initiative to establish and focus a credible civic school in the country that puts together a series of youth groups formation based on geographical and needs-based assessment in all the 5 provinces of Pakistan. We deal the whole program as a parallel education program. We are not offering it as a formal education program, because we have been researching on it, and we found out that students at all levels, from junior classes till university, are not up to reading or writing anything. When it comes to a formal education program, simply all the interest comes to zero level. So we offered it as with an MOU signed with all the private public schools and universities and colleges in Pakistan in almost all 5 provinces. We are offering it as a parallel education program in which we select groups from universities, and from we also deal out of school youth as well. By out of school youth, I mean that we cater street children as well, and we cater people who are at risky behaviors, who are drug addicts and who are transgender, etc. So the young people, they are engaged in 3 courses, um, to to be trained on the concept of citizenship, accountability, human rights, laws, and media tools. The reason we have added up media tools in our training program, so that they can know how to use social media as a parallel tool to inspire the world about their community action projects, and to come up with more ideas to share globally what a civic engaged youth can be, can present to the world. And the young people in our grassroots communities, they are known as civic champions. So this is a very interesting thing in our project, that when they are known as civic champions, their morale is very high, that okay, we are engaged in a project where we are known as champs of the project, and we are given an opportunity to show ourselves and to come up with our wonderful creativity and innovative ideas in Pakistan. So the civic champions around the world, they have to come up with an action plan after the courses we offer them, the civic engagement courses, and at the end of the module 1 training, we basically offer them 3 module trainings. So at the end of module 1 training, they have to come up with one community action project, and the plan needs to be of the native community of that particular group or individual, and it should be able to engage the local government representatives and concerned authorities, in order to resolve the problem within the community. Now, the best part of the project, as a founder of the project, is that we are not only giving them an opportunity to civically engage themselves, but we are also demanding them to think out of the box and to see that fine, you are civically doing this duty, you are giving back to your country or your community, perfectly all right, but how this initiative can be a sustainable one. For that matter, you have to engage your local authorities. Like in Pakistan, we are not having at the moment a very strong local government system, but we do have local government authorities established and elected. So they get connected with them, and then they along with that, they go to the provincial level, and they do that project and invite everybody from the government offices to see what they are doing. And most of the times, when it comes to impact, their project have been opted by the local authorities, and they are sustaining within those communities. So just to add in it, civic champions, they are countering the issues on maternal health, they are countering the issues on education, they are countering the issues on community development. Now, community development is again a very vast area to be covered. So in community development, they have formed some youth reading corners, they have formed youth resource clubs, they have formed water filtration plants. Now, water filtration plant is such an expensive thing to be afforded by a youth group in Pakistan, but our civic champions have done it. I will discuss on it later on. And they have a project catering the social accountability issue. Like, it's not very intense at the moment, because we have just completed 2 modules since the lab has adapted our project. But within the 2 modules, groups have came up with the ideas to engage the authorities locally and then make them accountable, that see, we as youth group have done this for the community development. Now it's your responsibility, and you have the budget and you have all the facilities to assist the community in the coming years. So that's how they are socially accountable to the youth communities. And successful youth engagement strategies, it requires the youths have genuine opportunities to work with each other, which we are providing them by engaging them with the policymakers to impact issues of importance, and the effective initiatives that respect, the value of young people in public problem solving is giving them a real chance to act as an adult and, to understand their role and be the role models as well. So when it comes to the reason that why I have started the project, the reason was that I feel as an individual who has done a lot in her life just because of the reason that she was civically engaged in her life. And in Pakistan, there is no concept of civic education at all. You talk to a doctor, you talk to an engineer, or you talk to a cart rider, you will find the same mentality of not bothering what's going on around you. That's why we are facing a lot of issues. So people who are civically engaged, in my opinion, are at a reduced risky behavior of being a terrorist, and a reduced risky behavior of being a drug addict. They are at a reduced risky behavior to be anything, to be a corrupt person. All the problems which my country is facing at the moment is just because of not having a civic sense and being socially accountable towards their duties. So I think that I've observed a very different sort of a personality within myself, because when I talk to people, they really get inspired. And then I started thinking that what's the reason of this inspiration? I'm not doing anything special. But then I realized that whatever I'm doing it with a complete civic sense. I respect the person and I respect my duty, and I'm totally accountable of whatever I'm doing within my community. So that was the basic reason. And people who are engaged with me through this project, now we are a big team, so I would say we. So people who are engaged with us within the community of civic champions are totally changed people. They are doing wonderful civically engaged project. And I would just share a couple of examples on how the civic champions is basically raising the voices of youth. Since we are also relating the project with the policy issue, so I would encourage, if there are questions on that, I would love to answer. So one of my civic champions from the province of Sindh has addressed the drainage issues within his community. And what he did was that every time the government authority used to build a road, after a year or 2 years, they used to come up with an excuse that, oh my God, we forgot to put in the drainage pipes under the road, and now we have to deconstruct the road again, and we have to build up the pipes. And even then, once the work is started, no one is gonna complete it. It's just there unfinished. So he addressed the issue. He gathered the whole community. He sensitized the community. The people went together as one group upon the sensitization of a 14-year-old boy to the local government office, and they asked the mayor of the city to address this issue. Then they went to the provincial authority office, and they protested a little because their application have not been addressed for 2 months. And then the government had to, as a pressure group, they acted on the government, and the government had to sign an MOU with the concerned department of irrigation. And then the pipes are being installed in a community of people living around 1 million of the population is living there. So that's one impact. The other one is an installation of water filtration plants that was within a hospital. We have civic education, civic champions module offered to the medical students as well. The students have pointed out that the hospital has a huge budget, but they are not installing any water filtration plant for the attendees who are coming with the patients. So it's a huge problem, by the way, in Pakistan, that with one patient, there used to be 10 or 20 attenders just to come and see the patient. So they collected some money themselves, and they also requested the hospital management to provide them with provide them with something that shows their budget, with what is the reason. There can be any reason of not installing the water filtration plant, but not the budget. So they were very much sure, because they were studying in the same college, that the hospital has enough budget to install, but there is something fishy in in the whole process. So now the students have collected the money, given into the university vice chancellor. The vice chancellor contributed about ₹1 million to the hospital management, and the hospital management had they filed a case. The students filed the case against the hospital management to our information ministry, the commission. We have right to information commission at the moment in Pakistan, and so they had to show up with their budget, where it was clearly mentioned that the money was corrupted, the money was misused. So now the filtration plants are being installed in the hospitals, and patients are very much happy, because they are coming from faraway areas from the province of Sindh, and there is only one hospital in that city catering about the whole province for the heart diseases and for hepatitis C problems. So this is the work which my civic champions are doing, and I can proudly say that they're doing very well. I would love to have some questions if there are any. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Milish. That is truly inspiring of what youth are able to do when they receive this kind of training, and I think it really shows that civic education is a foundation for solving accountability issues in all different sectors. And so from there, we are a little over time. I apologize if anyone needs to get off the call now, but since we started late, we would still like to open some time for questions. If anyone has any from the audience, please feel free.
This is Scott Warren from Generation Citizen. I want to apologize for getting on late. It was really interesting to hear both of you on what's going on in your countries. And I guess a quick comment and a question. Generation Citizen is, and happy to talk to folks offline, an organization based in the U.S. that's really about promoting what we call action civics education, which is about young people learning about the political process through taking action on specific local issues they care about. We've started doing some research on ways to promote that internationally as well. And in our research, in a paper that we're about to release, is very much what you all were talking about, that experiential civics education is really important. And so I guess my question for both of you, sometimes we found that in a lot of countries, and you touched on this, in a lot of countries, a lot of the educational systems are much more focused on rote learning, so are focused on sort of regurgitating facts. And when civics education is done well, it's experiential. And so I'm curious how you balance that challenge in terms of the overall education system potentially being more fact-based, and the type of learning that you're talking about being more experiential, if that's a challenge that you've seen.
Right, Anita or Maywish, would you like to answer the question about kind of how you've balanced implementing experiential learning in kind of a rote learning environment?
Yeah, should I go first?
Sure, yeah, let's keep it brief because we're short on time.
Yeah, very quickly, I would just like to say that the education system in Pakistan is it's education system of an ancient time education system. We hardly have innovative things in it. So what we are doing is that it's a challenge to capture the youth's attention from that sort of education system to something called experiential learning. So what we do is that we sign an MOU with the societies and with the universities and with the schools, and we offer we enter into the education system as an external force, and we offer them things which are very attractive to that group, attractive to that type of group among the youth communities. If it's a school, we offer them a full day of learning, and if it's a university, we offer them workshops and things like that. So that is something that we so far haven't faced any challenge to capture the attention. But yes, beforehand when we were doing a needs assessment, we had this thing in mind that people wouldn't like to have the word civic education. That's why we're using it civic engagement. So we are doing well with it. It's not a challenge anymore with us because we are coming up with an external force.
Okay, can I go?
Yes.
Thank you, Scott. I think the challenge is still with when working with government schools, because they have, like I said, very traditional approach. They do not want to introduce any new ideas. But we have successfully worked with 5 government schools so far, and we have been able to change thinking and methodologies and modality of working in civic engagement projects. However, the challenge is, our initial idea was we wanted to work together with the teachers, and it is working really well in private school, but in government school it is still a challenge, and we're still trying to address this challenge, as in introducing like some kind of benefit for the teachers themselves. So we're trying to offer some separate training for teachers. When we take our students on a residential program, we are also inviting the teachers to really see what their students are learning outside of the school setup and how they can implement these learnings in the classroom and also in their school. But this is still a challenge because some of the teachers are still thinking this as time off, and they've been prioritizing this time for their personal work, which we've been trying to address, and it has been successful in 2 schools, but this is still a challenge, and we're still trying to work on how we can best involve the teachers themselves, because if we only focus on students and do not involve teachers, it would not give us the impact that we're looking for. So this is an opportunity. In private school, the school sees this as an opportunity, and they welcome us, and they've been working together with the teachers and administrators. But this has also been a challenge for government schools only.
Thank you. And it's great to hear the learnings across different countries. And Scott Warren is doing great work with Generation Citizen on civic education here in the U.S. as well. And so I'm sure there's a lot more that you all can discuss offline as well. Are there any other questions from the audience? All right, well, if not, then we can end our call now, and feel free to reach out on email or Twitter and ask any further questions, and we thank you all for listening, and have a great day. Goodbye.
Thank you, Anne. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.